we want to consider our neutral spine here. So we're thinking about a little groove in the low back, enough for a blueberry to rest under. So to find that, we're going to just press the tailbone down just a tiny bit so we get the space to lengthen. Then we push the tailbone away so you notice the curve in the lumbar spine in the low back. So we're going to do that a couple of times. So we tuck under, lengthening the back body, and then we press the tailbone away, arching the back body. The belly drops a little bit here as well. So we're pulling up to lengthen as we inhale, and then we're exhaling to arch away as the belly presses down. And what we're doing here is we're getting a sense for that space at the lumbar spine, the low back. We're giving those vertebrae a chance to open and close. And that just gives our body a sense of the ability of movement that we have in that part of our lumbar spine. Often we'll have a bias towards one of these directions. So we'll either have a bias towards this position, flattening out the back, flexion, or a bias to anterior tip and this big arch in our back. So what we want to do now is we want to come somewhere in the center of those 2 points. Somewhere where we have a little groove in the low back, but not a deep groove in the low back. So enough for a blueberry to rest under. So that's our natural position that the spine curves should be in. And when we have that curvature in the spine, our body can take impact. And that might be just walking on the ground, or it might be you step off a curb and drop your foot without realizing it. The body can absorb all that impact when the curves are in their neutral spine. And that's one of the principles of Pilates. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to reach one arm out in space while encouraging that neutral not to change, and then draw it back down. Other arm. Exhale, reach out. Inhale down. As you reach your right arm, notice there's a little bit more weight pressing into your right knee. And then same as you reach your left arm, a little bit more weight pressing into the left knee. So we're alternating right to left. Start to notice an engagement or communication happening at the tummy muscles. We're going to go for 4, 3, and 2 more. Final one, reach it long, and then slowly lowering it down. From here, tuck your toes under, so you're tucking your toes into the mat. Bring your knees together so the inner thighs are touching and the feet will come close together as well. Trying to keep this neutral now in the low back. See, can you push into your hands and push into your toes and gently lift the knees from the floor and then slowly lower it back down. Breathe in. Exhale, pushing deeply into the hands and knees as we hover to lift, and then lower back down. So the challenge here is maintain the neutral as you hover to lift. We're going for 3 more. And 2. And last one, lift to hover. And slowly lower it down. Well done. Drop your bum back into your heels, reach your hands out in front, letting your head drop in between the arms. If you need to be a little bit higher because the knees don't bring you back that way, that's absolutely fine. You could rest the elbows and let the head rest in this way. We'll take 2 breaths here. Breathe in. Exhale, soften. And 1 more. Breathe in. And exhale, soften. And now we're going to come onto our backs. So we'll lie onto our backs. But what we want to start thinking about now is how we transition from a kneeling position, seated position, to a lying down position. So we want to make that as functional as we can in our body. So from a seated position, bring your hands to the back of your thighs and then slowly start to roll your spine down till you come down onto the mat. Knees are bent. And then from here, we're going to reach the arms up to the sky with the palms facing each other. I've found a neutral spine in my low back, so I've space in my low back. enough for a blueberry to rest under. If you're challenged finding that space, push your low back into the mat, then exaggerate and arch the back away and fall somewhere in the center of those 2 points. And then you could check and see, does your hand go underneath your low back? So you know you have space for a blueberry. Then while maintaining that neutral, reach the arms to the sky. We breathe in to stretch the back of the shoulders. We exhale, drawing the arms down, pressing into the mat. Inhale to reach the fingers up. And exhale to draw the shoulder blades down. Now we can have more challenges. We're creating this movement through the upper body. You could take one leg into tabletop. Tabletop means your knee is in line with your hip and your shin is parallel to the floor. You've got a 90-degree angle at the knee joint. That's what you're aiming for, this 90-degree angle at the knee joint. Breathe in to reach. Exhale, gently pressing your shoulder blades onto the mat as if there was 2 blueberries underneath your shoulder blades and you were gently squashing them but not bursting them. Breathe in to reach. And exhale, squeeze the shoulder blades. Breathing in. Exhale, draw your shoulder blades down. We're going for 3 more. Breathe in. And exhale down. Last 2. So this gives some activity into the muscles in the back of the shoulders. So if you're doing a lot of work on laptops, or if you were doing a lot of running or cycling, or you were concerned about your posture, sometimes when the muscles in the back of the shoulders get weak, the upper body stoops forward. So we want to really keep the muscles in the back of the shoulders, those rhomboids strong, so we can keep a nice upright posture. That's your last one. Float your hands down by your side, follow with your leg. Take your second leg into tabletop. Reach the arms back up to the sky again, and now we're going to go into a scissor arm. So we reach one arm overhead, inhale to the middle, other arm overhead, and back to the middle. So we're scissoring the arms, getting length through the side body. For some of you, you might be restricted on range, so you may only get this far with that overhead arm, and that's fine. Remember, you do you. Exhale, reach, and back to center. And of course, you could take a second leg up here if you wanted a bit more challenge. 3 more. 2. And final one, reach it back. Breathe into the sky. Exhale, lower the hands and follow with the leg. Now draw your heels a little bit closer to your thighs here. Still in your neutral. Palms are down, take a breath. Exhale, roll your low back to the mat, moving into bridge. We peel the spine away from the floor, allowing the hips to lift up high, squeezing into the butt. We take a breath in here, and then we exhale. Imagine you're melting from the breastbone. So you're coming down one vertebrae at a time, piece by piece by piece. And then at the bottom, you're coming into this neutral. So there's that space in through the low back. So we're breathing in. Exhale, roll the low back, peel the spine up. Inhale, hold everything at the top, squeezing into glutes. Exhale, soften through your breastbone. Allow the vertebrae to move one by one by one. Release the pelvis at the bottom. Find your neutral space for your blueberry. Breathe in there. Exhale, roll. Imagine your spine is sellotape and you're peeling the sellotape from the floor as you lift the hips up. Breathe in on the top. And then exhale, lay that sellotape back down onto the floor, allowing the weight to drop through pelvis. Let that anterior tip happen so you find the neutral. Watch your knees on the next one as you start to lift up. Be conscious that you've got weight through your big toe and evenly out through to the little toe. So you want to avoid the knees going out to the side or the knees falling into the center. Take a breath on the top and then exhale, slowly lower everything down. We're going to do 3 more, and if you want more challenge, you can add in arms. So we take a breath in, we float the spine up on an exhale,
Then we inhale, reach the arms up to the sky. And on an exhale, we float the arms and the spine all the way back down into the floor, letting the pelvis release out at the bottom. Take a breath. Lift the spine, press the feet, keep the knees in line. Float the hands on an inhale. And exhale, soften everything to lower down. Last breath. Breathe in. Exhale, roll and lift, floating hands. Inhale on the top. And then exhale, slowly lower everything back down into your neutral. Take one knee in at a time, give the body a hug. Maybe rock the knees from side to side. And from here, we're going to turn onto our side. So we roll into the side lying position. The legs are going to be nice and long. So we want to look down here and check where our alignment is through our feet. So you want to be able to just see the tips of your toes. If your feet are out in front, you're going to see all of your thighs, your shins, and your feet. So shift them back so you're in a nice alignment as if you're standing up. Bottom hand, you're supporting your head here with your bottom hand. We're going to breathe in to lift the top leg up and then exhale, lower it down. Breathing in to rise and exhale to lower. And then a common mistake is to look down at your feet as you're moving. That takes your upper body out of neutral. So bring your eye gaze to look forward as you're creating this movement. Inhale to lift, exhale to lower. And you might notice that I'm creating movement through my ankle. So that's optional if you want to get some articulation through the ankle. Pull the toes to your nose as you inhale. And then exhale as you lower down. Breathe in to lift. And exhale as we lower. Breathe in. Exhaling down. Inhale. And exhale. Start to feel this in the outside of our thigh. We're keeping one hip stacked on top of the other, so we're not allowing our body to rock forward. You can imagine there's a pane of glass in the front of your body and the back of your body, and it's keeping you in that neutral alignment. We're going for 3, breathe in, exhale down, 2, and down, and final 1, lift it up, lower down but don't go all the way down, come halfway up. Now we're going to do small circles, as if we had a paintbrush on the sole of our foot and we're drawing circles on the wall below us. Use your hand to steady your balance, really getting that circular motion from your hip socket. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reverse, go the other way for 10, 9, and you're feeling this now on the lateral side of your leg. You should be feeling that, so keep it going. 5 more, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it, we're not finished. We're not finished yet. Stay with me. Pull your knee up and press it down. We're just doing 10 of these. Knee up and press it down. Knee up and press. These never get any easier. And press. Knee up and press. So the challenge here is that you're working against gravity. So it doesn't matter whether this is a beginner's, an intermediate, or an advanced class. This challenge stays the same. But the movement is a foundational movement. So it's a fundamental movement that you want to know before you go into intermediate or advanced. We got 2 more. Breathe in and down, and 1 more. Inhale and press it down. Well done. Take that knee and let it rest out in front of you. Your bottom leg is super straight now. So we're going to lift up from the bottom leg to work the inner thigh and then lower it back down. So often when we're working inner thighs in the studio or in our class, we'd be using our fitness circles. But here we're using the body weight to challenge the inner thigh. Imagine that your leg has no ability to bend. So it's just a dead straight leg. And it's the weight of that leg that challenges those inner thigh muscles, just where the inner seam of your track bottom is. And again, the eye gaze is looking forward. We're using our exhale to lift and our inhale to lower. We're going for 5 more. 5, final one, lift and lower it down. Well done. Okay, from there we're going to go on to the other side. You can turn around if you want. I'm going to lift up and switch my legs around to this side. So I want nice straight legs. My bottom hand is supporting my head and my toes are just in view, so I can't see my shins or my thighs. And then I lift the top leg as we inhale and then slowly lower it down. Lifting and lowering. And I'm pulling my toes to my nose as I come up and pointing them away from me. And that just brings some mobility through the ankle joint. So it's totally fine to just keep the foot passive as you lift the leg up and down. If you want to bring all your attention into the thigh muscles, that's fine too. Breathe in and lower. And down. And down. You can gently connect through your center as well if you wish. Lifting and lowering. Let's go for another 5 here. And then we're going to add the circles. And last 3, 2, you definitely should be feeling this now on the outside of the thigh. 1, so we just halfway up and we circle. So really important that you create the circles from your hip socket. Often this will happen where the movement comes from your ankle, so that's not working at all into the top of the hip. So these circles are super important to keep mobility through your hip as well. So we're keeping healthy hips here. Let's do one more. Reverse the circle, go the other way. Excellent. So it's almost like the thigh bone is stirring in the hip socket. So the hip socket is a ball and socket joint. So the femur has the ability to rotate around the hip. We'll do 3, 2, and 1. Now draw your knee up and press down. So sometimes what can happen just through repetitive movement in that we don't tend to access that whole ball and socket joint. So we might dominate a lot of our movements from the front of the hip joint. And then that can cause wear and tear if we're always working from the front of the hip joint. So we want to have access through all parts of the hip to create a little bit more varied movement in our everyday life, and then that keeps our joint healthy. Let's go for another 4 and down. So it's another principle of Pilates. So really maintaining efficiency in the joints. 3, last 2, 2, inhale up, exhale, pressing down. Good work, guys. Let that knee come out in front of you. That also lets to stretch out that space that's feeling tender and tired now. Lift the bottom leg up and then lower it down. Lifting up and lowering down. It's an exhale as we rise and an inhale as we lower. And down. Excuse me. So imagining again that seam of the trousers is really working as we're lifting up. That's the muscles that you're imagining are working as the leg is lifting up, the adductor muscles, the inner thigh muscles. And lifting. So we'll go for another 5, 4, last 2, and 1 more. Lift it up and lower it all the way down. Excellent. Okay, from there we're going to roll ourselves onto our back. And then we're looking for neutral again here. So we want that space in the low back. Enough for your hand or blueberry. And then we're going to take the right leg to tabletop. And then the left leg to tabletop. So you have 2 choices here. Find your neutral space. If you find your neutral space and it feels like it's pulling on your back, you're just not ready to be in neutral with 2 legs up. So you can still keep your 2 legs up, but imagine the blueberry is there and roll your low back towards the blueberry as if you want to gently squash it but not burst it. It'll mean the shins are a little bit higher. And hold that position statically there. So you're either in this what's called imprint, which is like a little bridge on its way to neutral, or you're in true neutral where you have the space underneath your low back. But you need to self-monitor here to assess whether your back is pulling when you're in full neutral. And if it is, move into that little imprint as if you're squashing your blueberry but not bursting it. And then we're just holding this position here. So we're not moving, we're just holding the position. So we're breathing in and out as we hold that space. So you should start to feel that your tummy muscle is doing the work here as you're holding that space. And we take 3 breaths for 3 and 2 and 1 more. And then gently draw the knees into your chest. So this is giving your body education, I guess, in how to get your tummy muscles to work against the weight of your legs and not bring the back muscles into the movement. So there's a lot of exercises in Pilates that's orientated around this tabletop position. And there's a running joke with a few people in my class when I mention tabletop, they go, oh God. So finding that position. Keep the shins parallel to the floor, the ceiling. If you're in imprint, you will notice your shins come a little bit higher. And again, let's hold for another 3. And 2, breathing in and out. And 1 more. And draw your knees into the center. Excellent. Okay, let's bring our feet onto the floor again. We're going to draw the heels in close to your thighs. And we're going to cross your right leg onto your left knee. So if you can have it laterally out like that, that's fine. But if it has to cross all the way over, that's fine too. So what we're going to be doing is lifting the hips up. So we're working into just a single leg side. So I find it more comfortable to have it out to the side. But again, remember, you do you. So I'm going to exhale, push deeply into my left foot in my case as I lift up. And then I inhale, just drop down. So I'm not articulating or peeling the spine like sellotape now. I'm just lifting it up, exhale, and then dropping it right down. Lifting it up, and dropping it right down. We're going to go for 2 more. Lift it up, and drop it down. And 1 more. Lift it up, and drop it right down. Brilliant. Switch the legs over so we go to the other side. So make sure you draw the right heel in close as you do it. So we exhale, push into the right leg as we lift it up, squeezing the butt, and then drop it down. Lift to squeeze, and drop the hip down. Lovely. Lift to squeeze, and drop it down. Exhale. And down. 1 more on that side. Exhale, lift it up. And dropping down. Lovely. Slowly let that foot come down. Let's straighten the right leg up in the air. If you have a scarf, a band, or a belt, pop it around your right foot. Otherwise, I don't have one with me at the moment, so I'm going to bring my hands onto the back of my thigh. Because I have the flexibility to keep the leg straight, my hands can make it to the back of the thigh. But some of you might be out there and the leg is bent when it's up here, so you're not going to stretch the hamstring in that way. So move the leg out, grab the front of your track bottoms till you can have the leg completely straight, and then you'll get more of an effect into the back of the thigh. And we'll breathe in and out as we hold the leg wherever it is. So breathing for 3 and 2 and 1. Now slowly guide the leg out to the side. Again, keep using the track bottoms if you have them, and you'll feel the inner thigh start to stretch. And just breathing in and out as you do that. Gently come back to the middle, step that leg out a little bit further, and allow the leg to cross the body. So we get that stretch to the outside of the inner thigh. Slowly return to the center, place that foot to the floor. Taking our second leg up, looking for that straightness to the back of the knee. And you can just hold it up without holding onto it, but you will find when you hold it up without holding onto it, that you're not really getting a stretch. It's actually more like a strength training exercise now, because your muscles are engaging to hold the leg in the air. Whereas when you put your hands there to support it, or you're holding onto the front of the track, or you're using your band or your scarf, that makes it a little bit more passive, so that we can allow the muscles to relax, so we can give them a stretch rather than giving them a job to do to hold the leg in the air. So we'll hold for 4 and 3, 2 and 1. Brilliant. Let the leg come out to the side then, so the inner thigh gets to open out. Slowly come to the center. You might need to move your right leg away a little bit and allow it to come across the body then, so the inner thigh gets to open out. And yeah, be careful on this one as you move to the side. For some people this can be a bit stronger than others, depending if you're tight in the lateral hip. So you might only be able to go a little bit past the midline, and that's absolutely fine. Take for 3 breaths, 2, and last one, and slowly come back to the center. From there, take both knees into your chest and then draw circles at the knees. So we're drawing circles, but what we're looking to do here is create an openness in our sacrum, or the back of the pelvis. So we want to get a release in through the spine, and this could be nice if you've been out in the garden doing a lot of gardening where you're stooping over. Then reverse and go the other way, so circling around for 5 and 4, 3, 2 and 1, and then slowly lower your feet down into the floor. And we're just going to finish with 3 deep breaths in and out. So breathe in through your nose, inhale, and then exhale out. You can sigh out if you want.